We took a 5-night cruise aboard a 17-year-old Royal Caribbean ship. Question is, does she still shine? Stick around for our full, honest review. Independence of the Seas launched in 2008 and has been a favourite among cruising fans ever since. She received an extensive refurbishment in 2018 as part of Royal Caribbean's Royal Amplified programme, the first of its kind, adding water slides, the sky pad, enhanced bars and eateries, and lots more. Indy, as she is affectionately known, is a Freedom class ship and carries a maximum of 4,560 passengers and 1,440 crew. She's dwarfed by megaships now like Icon of the Seas, but at launch she was the largest ship in the world. We boarded our 5-night cruise at the City Cruise Terminal in Southampton. Unusually for us, we parked opposite the terminal in the AB parking lot. It's very close to the entrance and our cases were taken away the moment we got out of the car and sent straight to the ship, which was very swish. For the 5 nights parking it cost £109 and we felt it is worth it knowing that the car was nice and close to the terminal, so when we disembarked it was just over the road and we could go straight home. At the terminal entrance, we were greeted by friendly faces ready to assist. They checked our SeaPass and showed us through. This time we upgraded with a program called The Key, run by Royal Caribbean. One of the best perks is priority boarding. You're usually on just after the suite guests. We arrived at 10:16 and we were on board by 10:35. Royal Caribbean keeps the boarding process slick and organised, and it always feels great to be among the first on board so you can start enjoying your holiday that little bit earlier. Everywhere looked clean and exactly the same as what we remembered from our previous sailing 6 years ago. For this cruise, we chose a standard ocean view. On our last voyage, we had an inside cabin and while that was fine at the time, we'd often sneak a peek into ocean views as they were being cleaned, as you do. And we always felt a little bit envious, so we went for it this time. And there was no disappointment. The room was bright with sun streaming in and it looked and smelt clean throughout. Compared to modern ships, the cabin is a little dated, but for her years, it is in very good condition. One thing we did find is the bathroom is pretty tight, especially the shower. But we managed to find, and there are plenty of nooks and crannies for storage. Again, a touch dated but perfectly serviceable and clean. Storage overall in the cabin was great, loads of space for clothes and our suitcases fitted perfectly under the bed. There's also a little sofa in front of the TV plus a glass table. I get why they went with a glass table because it just makes the space look bigger, but the number of times I hit my knee on it was unreal. The bed was reasonably comfortable. As the double is made from 2 singles, you get the inevitable split between mattresses. A strong topper would have helped, but it wasn't available. The pillows weren't that comfortable to be honest, but that might be personal preference. The linen looked a little tired as well. Definitely cleaned and bleached, you could smell it, but with a few yellow stains dotted about, hopefully from room service mishaps and nothing else. A top tip for these cabins is to remember to bring plug converters. The cabin comes with 2 US sockets and 1 EU socket, and without those converters you're going to be a bit stuck. There's no plugs next to the bed, so it's not ideal if you like to charge your phone overnight. But on the bright side, at least if you set your alarm, you're going to have to get out of bed to turn it off and you won't sleep through breakfast. Talking of breakfast, let's talk food and drink. We started taking advantage of our deluxe beverage package very early. It covered any drink up to the price of $15, which was everything we wanted to be honest. Royal Caribbean is great for cocktails with loads of variety. We love the way that most of the bars have different menus, it just stops things from getting samey. Drinks wise, very few complaints. Our only niggle was the wine in some of the restaurants. It really wasn't to our taste, a little vinegary at times. The best selection was always in Vintages. Vintages is a really nice, relaxed venue. We love chilling out on the sofa and enjoying a glass of vino or a cheeky chocolatini. There are lots of other bars on board as well. Playmakers was one of our favourites. For some reason, we love a sports bar and we have no idea why because neither of us follow sport. I think it's just we really like the nice relaxed atmosphere. It's just nice for people watching and just chilling out. They also made a very nice dark and stormy. And if you haven't heard of a dark and stormy, that's a rum, ginger beer and a slice of lime. Amazing. Bolero's was great for a margarita, and our favourite outdoor spot was the Sky Bar. We spent hours there just taking in the views, people watching, and enjoying copious amounts of gun-based smash. Food-wise, things were a little bit more hit and miss. The main dining room was consistently poor compared to what we remembered from our pre-COVID cruise 6 years ago, particularly the meat. In our opinion, the quality just wasn't there. And it's a shame because the venue itself is absolutely beautiful. A real grand feeling as you walk in. It spans 3 floors with a large chandelier for that opulent touch. Some meals were okay and the service was fine. They were happy to switch dishes we didn't like, but overall for us it's become inconsistent. Make sure you check out our upcoming vlogs to get a real feel for it. Main dining room aside, the a la carte extra charge restaurants were a different story. We went to both Chops Grill, which is Royal Caribbean Steakhouse, and Giovanni's, which is Royal Caribbean's Italian restaurant. Now these don't come as part of your cruise fare. Chops was the pricier one at £38.58 each for dinner. Giovanni's cost us £29.40 each for dinner, and we also tried Giovanni's at lunch, and the big perk is it's much cheaper at £14.08 per person. Absolute bargain. And it's worth noting that those prices change all the time. We pre-booked it using the Royal Caribbean app, so definitely keep an eye out for a better price. Both restaurants were of really high standard and the service was great. If we had to pick, Giovanni's had a slight edge, but we're Italian cuisine fans, so that makes sense. We also tried Johnny Rockets, which is the onboard burger diner, another extra charge venue at £15 per person. That essentially covered anything you wanted from the menu, excluding shakes, ice cream, soda and alcohol. We honestly really enjoyed it. It's the best experience we've had there compared to previous cruises. We grabbed food a couple of times at Playmakers too. Everything here is chargeable, but the quality is really high in our experience. The portions are huge though, so I wouldn't recommend it too close to other meals. Ideal for lunch if you don't fancy the buffet. And speaking of the buffet, the Windjammer, as it's known on Royal Caribbean, we tried it a couple of times, which is pretty rare for us. But with the main dining room being a bit of a miss, we thought we'd give it a shot. Both times we were pleasantly surprised. Sure, you could tell some of the items had been sitting there for a while, but overall the taste and quality were good for what it is. Sorrento's Pizzeria, which is also included in your cruise fare, in our opinion has dropped in quality. The base now has a styrofoam kind of feel to it and it lacks flavour. And you know what, it's a shame. We've always been fans of Royal Caribbean's pizza. Have you experienced the same? If so, let us know below. Overall, the pay extra eateries were great on the ship, but Windjammer aside, most of the included venues were inconsistent. It does feel like people are being nudged to pay more to get a good experience, and really, that shouldn't be the case. Indy has lots of onboard activities included in the fare, and we tried a few. For the first time ever, we tackled the legendary rock wall, a Royal staple. Not gonna lie, it was so much harder than we expected. Before we started, some kids made it look easy. We were so wrong. I did manage to ring that bell eventually, but it was so hard. Ben almost made it too, but I think the height got the better of him. We also tried the Perfect Storm water slides. On the day we did it, only one of the slides was operational, but we still had the best time. Sometimes it's just good to relax and act like a kid. We also loved the quizzes in the schooner bar, but be aware it gets very busy during quiz time, so arrive reasonably early. There isn't a full-on thermal suite on this ship, but there's a lovely solarium pool which is 18+ only, which is a huge bonus for us. The hot tubs on the ship's edges were hot and came with great views of Hamburg. Also, not many people know this, but hidden away in the gym changing rooms there is a sauna and steam room, and they are completely free to use. A mini retreat without having to pay the normal £40 to £50 to enjoy it. Evenings were always busy. Obviously dining takes up a big chunk, but there was also lots to do in between. In fact, we went to almost every show. The lineup included comedians, illusionists and Broadway style productions. The big show was Grease and we were not disappointed. Honestly, the cast were incredible. There was a technical issue mid-show, the stage went dark, but about 10 minutes later it started and the cast carried on like pros. The only show we didn't go to was Invitation to Dance. We also went rogue that night and skipped dressing up for formal night. If like us, you don't fancy suiting up or wearing your best ball gown, don't worry, there's always plenty of venues you can still use. Honestly, most of the time it's only the main dining room that's affected. Of all the cruise lines, Royal Caribbean is said to be one of the most relaxed on formal attire. Looking around, I'd say about 50% dressed up. Bottom line, never feel pressured to dress up. It's your cruise, do it the way you want to do it. And if theatre shows aren't your thing, there's always alternative entertainment available. For instance, you could check out the Busker and the Ale and Anchor. There's also game shows and karaoke in the Star Lounge, and on many sailings, there's shows on a Royal Promenade. Although on the shorter sailing, there wasn't one. Boo! With that said, we were kept entertained all the time. We never got bored. And if nothing grabbed us, we could always hit the casino or head to Bolero's and enjoy some Latin-inspired music and some tasty margaritas. Our cabin was well looked after by our attendant, Randy. He was a really nice guy and polite. One thing that did irk us a little bit with regards to services and facilities was the lack of self-service laundry. We've grown quite accustomed to doing our own on P&O cruises, but this just isn't a thing on Royal Caribbean. We called down to guest services and requested an iron to use in the cabin, but they said it wasn't allowed and we had to use the ship's wash and press service. To get 10 items pressed, it would have cost us $17.49. And you know what, we were happy to do this just to get a few things so we had stuff to wear on the evenings, especially, shirts and that kind of thing. But the big problem was the pressing takes around 48 hours. Now, bear in mind, we're on a 5-night cruise. On day 2, we requested the services and it was already formal night, so it was too late to get anything sorted by then, and had we have pressed ahead, we'd have probably got our clothes by the 4th night, and to be honest, by that point, it was barely worth it, so we just made do with some slightly creased clothes and just got on with it. Sorry if I sound a bit whinchy, but it's just a little bit annoying that there's no way of ironing your clothes without using that service. Let us know if you've been caught out by this and if you found any good workarounds. On this cruise, we had 2 ports, Hamburg and Bruges. We originally planned to stay on board and enjoy a nice quiet ship, but the sun was shining, so we nipped off to explore Hamburg. We docked at Hafen City, a brand new cruise terminal in the heart of the city, linked to the new Westfield shopping centre. We had a mooch around, and yes, Ben bought some Lego. If you didn't know this, Ben is obsessed with Lego and he loves it. And here it is in all its glory. Hamburg is a lovely place. There's loads of history and beautiful architecture. We also visited the Titanic Expo. You could call it a little bit tasteless as we were on a cruise, but you know what? We found it really thought-provoking. To see how we get on, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell so YouTube can let you know when we release our new vlog episodes. Unusually, on the last day of our cruise, we visited our last port stop, which was Bruges. When you arrive into Zeebrugge, primarily a container port, you will need to make your way into Bruges. You can do this via taxi, train, or as we did, a coach transfer. It was the pricey option at €30 per person return. The train would have been cheaper, but to be honest, we took the easy route. We didn't know our way around and we were slightly jaded from a couple of drinks the night before, so we thought, what the heck? There were leaflets at the front of the coach with information about Bruges, but it would have been nice if the driver would have pointed us all in the right direction so we knew which way to go. Luckily, we had mobile data and we found our way quickly. It's about a 20-minute walk to the main tourist area. No bother, as part of the route winds through a really pretty park, and before you know it, you're on cobbled streets filled with the scent of chocolate and waffles. It really was pure delight, and if we could bring you smell-o-vision, we would for this experience. It was gorgeous. Bruges is one of the prettiest places we've ever visited. The shopkeepers we spoke to were kind, approachable, and so helpful. We'll be heading back to both Bruges and Hamburg later in the year on Cunard's Queen Anne for the Christmas markets, so make sure you keep an eye out for that series come December. Don't forget to subscribe. Also keep an eye out for our upcoming vlogs so you can see what we got up to. When it came to disembarking, you've got the usual options. Leave your bags outside the door the night before and collect them in the terminal, or self-assist and carry them off yourself. We always choose self-assist because we're always paranoid the luggage is going to go missing overnight. It's so unlikely, but you never know. As part of the key program we told you briefly about earlier, we had a farewell breakfast in the main dining room. Service was quick and friendly and the food was tasty. The key also includes priority disembarkation. I asked the officer on duty where to go after breakfast and he told us deck 5. We got there with our cases and no one was there. Disembarkation was now going from deck 4. We couldn't see any signs for key guests and it felt really chaotic, so we just thought, let's join the normal queue. The queue took about 30 minutes to get through because it snaked around the dining room and out onto deck 4. In the grand scheme of things, 30 minutes isn't really long to wait, but when you paid for a perk and you're not able to use it, it's a little bit annoying. Still, it could have been worse. On our first and only MSC cruise, check-in took around 3 hours. Ouch. The biggest pro for us was the ship itself. We love Indy. She was our first ever ship and where we spent our honeymoon, so she will always be special. Considering we sailed on her 6 years ago, not much has changed really, and in a good way. She's well maintained, aged a little bit on the upper decks, but after 6 years, she's looking pretty good. I guess the biggest con would be the food in the main dining room. We're gutted by it because we were so looking forward to eating in the main dining room. With that in mind though, we still had the best time. One more tip that we'd strongly recommend you look out for is keep an eye on your folio or onboard spending account. You can do this by going on the Royal Caribbean app and checking out your profile. We checked our onboard account towards the end of the cruise and noticed a bunch of onboard gratuity fees that we weren't expecting. As always, we had already paid gratuities up front and we always add a little extra for great service, but they'd added around $180 to our account. When we queried it, they asked if we'd booked via a travel agent. We had, and apparently sometimes it doesn't show on Royal Caribbean systems. They agreed to move them and said it would update within 24 hours. Fast forward 24 hours, they were still there. So we went back again and this time they promised they would absolutely be removed by 6 AM, which I guess is when they close off everyone's accounts. True to their word, the final statement came through and they had been removed. We're always really happy to reward great service as and when we feel appropriate, but gratuities can creep up on you and be a very nasty surprise if you weren't expecting them, so keep an eye on those accounts. So, to answer the question, does Independence of the Seas still shine? In our opinion, she sure does. She's a fun ship with brilliant bells and whistles, yet full of heart and not over the top. If you've got any special memories from this beautiful ship, let us know in the comments below. Or if you haven't sailed on her before and you're thinking about taking a cruise aboard Independence of the Seas, let us know if you've got any questions below and we'll do our very best to come back to you ASAP. Our full vlog series from this cruise is coming out really soon. So if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button and also hit subscribe so YouTube can let you know when our vlog series comes out. Also, if you know someone that might benefit from watching this video, be sure to share with them too. Share the love, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, stay cheeky, sailors.